30 days ago, I told you guys that I was going to keep you updated on how my stat orbs play was going. I was going to trade it for at least a month to figure out if we had positive expected value or not. And well, now it's a little over 30 days. We're about a 45-day mark. And I have a little bit of stats that I would like to go over when it came to the stat orbs. So let's go ahead and review how it's been working for me so far. Also, if this is your first time seeing this channel or my face, the reason why you should subscribe is because I'm a retail day trader just like you. I'm capturing my lessons that I'm learning on a day-to-day basis and uploading it to this YouTube channel alone for my own documentational purposes, but as well as it can help you learn some lessons that you probably wasn't aware of beforehand. So that's my reason why you should subscribe to my channel. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the stats. All right, briefly, we're going to talk about the stats. And then afterwards, instead of showing you my strategy, I'm just going to go over what I discovered from my check-in session this morning that just kind of helped me build the strategy. So maybe you can take the same principles and apply it to your own and get even better results. So first things first, let's talk about the stats. There's a lot of stats that you can look at when you're tracking edge. For the one, I think the most unimportant stat right now, especially when you're just trying to build edge, is P&L, right? P&L doesn't really tell you too much information. I think a far better look at P&L may be something like profit factor or even, for example, trade expectancy. I like trade expectancy because it's simple. If you look at the definition, the average amount you can expect to win or lose per trade on your closed trades. There is almost an expected amount of $13.77, which means that you have a positive edge. You have a equity curve that is growing over time. The biggest stats that I'm looking at right now is the trade win percentage and the average win to loss trade ratio. Now, as far as the report, we don't have that much data on it. For plays that you are curating, you're developing in real time, imagine having to wait 365 days to know if your strategy has edge or not, right? You want to be able to figure out very fast if this strategy is profitable or not. And I think a month, 2 months is good enough to tell. Right? Of course, you're going to have market regimes that change, and so will the strategy. But I believe that the quicker you can identify if this strategy is worth following up is the quicker you can kind of succeed. The goal is, one, to build 2 or 3 of these plays that have the ability to generate a positive expected value over the long run. So now nobody really cares about the stats. So let's have a real talk, face to face, man to man or man to woman, about what has contributed the most to me finding positive expected value plays and what I will be doing a lot more of. This morning, I had a session with my life coach, and pretty much we were talking about essentially how I've been going about developing a play. This person, he has pretty good knowledge when it comes to trading, but he was really able to understand what were the key contributors that helped the most into developing the success that I've had with this play so far. So I wrote it down because I thought it was quite important. The main formula that I have is, number one, is learning from others. A lot of people, especially in the trading space, it is very, on YouTube, it is very scary to learn from others because you don't know who's telling you the truth and you don't know who's telling you false. So the number one thing that I always suggest is, if you're learning from somebody, whoever it is, take the time and put in the hard work to back test and to try and falsify what they're claiming, right? If they're claiming that a strategy has a 75% win rate, go try it out before you put live money on it. But I would say more of not learning from others strictly as copying and pasting, but learning from others to steal. Yes, I said it. Steal. What you want to do is you want to steal their ideas. You want to steal their concepts and then merge it with some of your own. For example, when looking into create this stat orbs play, it initially came from initial balance. I saw there was a guy on Twitter who had a statistical probabilities type of model, and I found it really, really interesting. So I wanted to make my own statistical probabilities in certain plays, right? So what I did was I found a play that I kind of understood a little bit from him, which was initial balance, and I tried to adapt it to my style. I know that I can't trade initial balance because my trading window is from 9:30 to 10:30. So I had to find something to work. And in that case, learning from others was me going on YouTube and kind of saying, wait, I forgot there's a play called the stat orb, the opening range breakout, right? I can play that, right? I can collect the data on the stats and play the stats, play the odds that are in my favor. So that was the first thing, right? Learning from others. The second thing that really helped was building a foundation on my own and optimizing for my style. I just kind of talked about how I did that, but it was building my own foundation. I seen Chris, he had his initial balanced stats, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to have my opening range stats, right? I'm not going to copy him word for word. I'm going to put in the work, and I'm going to get my own data so I can have more confidence in my own setups, because you will never have more confidence than the setups that you personally put in the work to gain the data behind. You know how these setups play because you have sat there and gotten the experience. When you're kind of taking other people's word, right, you're not getting like user experience, and that's what makes or breaks a strategy. So it's kind of just been me siphoning off of ideas, but when it came to creating my own ideas, I needed to get my own user experience. So you get creative, right, and then you start to optimize for your style. I know that I have a certain window that I got to trade for, so I got to make sure that this play is able to be played in this window. And then the last principle was to develop on it further, right? It was to ask more questions. Once you have a style that you kind of understand, it's not about just stopping there, but it's about asking more questions. One of the things that wasn't mentioned from this guy, Chris, what was the MFE, maximal favorable excursion, which basically means after we break high or low, what's the maximum amount of points that we can run in a certain direction before a directional candle gets invalidated. For example, if we break out to the upside, how many green candles can we have before we get our first red one? Giving that alone gave me statistical take profits that helped me, know when to close my trade a little bit more. So those were the three things, right? One, learning from others, right? But not copying and pasting, more of a gaining ideas, right? Siphoning ideas from multiple people. The second has been go ahead and get your own user experience, create your own idea that's siphoned from others, steal their ideas, and make it your own, right? And then go get user experience, go get data from it. And then the third was expand on that idea that you just stole and you just created and you just got your user experience on from your own user experience. When you're getting this user experience, more questions will start to arise. Write down those questions, create hypothesis around them, and go find the answers to them. That's how I've been able to kind of just develop a little bit more. If you want the stats for the stat orb or how the play was created or the foundation that the play was created on, I have a YouTube video. I probably will link it in the description below, or you could just search it on my YouTube channel. It's literally called The Orb or Statistical Orbs. But yeah, thank you for watching, and until next video.